So you're thinking about buying a new construction home? Well, today we're up here in sunny Birch Bay in the Blaine, Washington area at the new Horizon development by Harbor Custom Homes. And we're going to show you one of the most important aspects of buying a new construction home, and that is the pre-closing blue tape walkthrough. And that's where we have the opportunity to make sure that home is absolutely perfect the day you move in. So you're not going to want to miss it. So let's get after it right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about eating, sleeping, playing, working, as well as the good and bad about living in Bellingham, Washington, and more specifically the Birch Bay Blaine area, then subscribe below and tap the bell icon for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Bellingham and surrounding areas. My name is Dale Serbisek and I'm with the Living in Bellingham, Washington team, and every single day we get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're thinking of moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'd be happy to help you make that smooth move to the Bellingham, Washington area. Well, today I'm at a brand new construction home that I helped some buyers from Minnesota that found me on YouTube move out here to the Birch Bay Blaine area. And we're going to take you through and show you one of the most important aspects of the pre-closing process, and that is the blue tape or the pre-closing walkthrough. It's a very important aspect of your closing process because it allows you to come through and mark up everything that needs to be fixed by the builder. So we're going to take some blue tape, painter's tape. We're going to walk all around this property, look at it from top to bottom, put a piece of tape anywhere we see something we want the builder to fix. We also have some green painter's tape that we're going to put on the walls if you see any areas specifically that have a texture problem, so that they know that they can take care of that as well. The blue tape walkthrough takes place approximately 1 to 2 weeks before closing. And it is very important that you do this before closing, because if you wait until you take possession, it closes and you start moving stuff in, if you start to see some of these dings and nicks or problems that the builder should have taken care of, it turns into a he said, she said. They don't know if you did it moving in or the movers did it moving in. So be sure that you and your realtor come through and get this taken care of. And then about 1 to 2 days before closing, you can walk through, make sure they took care of everything that you put tape on. Now, I also recommend that you walk through with a second person. The second set of eyes always are going to catch more than just you looking by yourself, but you really need to look from ceiling to floor. We're going to start here in the living room. One of the first things I like to do is look around on the flooring, see if you see any dings or scuffs or nicks in the flooring. Also, we're going to check all the windows, make sure that the windows open and close correctly. Make sure that the screens are installed. Sometimes they leave the screens out and then you wonder where they're at when you move in. You're also going to be checking the fireplace. I like to come over here and flip the switch on the fireplace, make sure it starts up. You might want to pull the screen off, make sure it's clear how you started the pilot light if it's not already started. You're also going to look around at all the baseboards, and you're going to see where the drywall meets the baseboards. You want to see if there's any gaps. Most builders these days will put caulking in there so it looks nice, clean finish. You're going to want to check the doors, make sure they all latch. I'm going to head on over here to the kitchen, and of course, again, you're always looking at the drywall. Look at the side, look at the angles to see if you can see if the texture is set up correctly. Make sure all the light switch turns on the lights that you think should be turned on. Then we're going to move on over here to the kitchen area. I check all the cabinet doors, make sure they open and shut correctly. Make sure that the drawers are on the track correctly and that they shut. Check the lights for your overhead exhaust fans. Make sure the vents are installed. Try and start all of the burners on your stovetop. If you have a gas, make sure that they light up okay and correctly. Then I come on over to, of course, the faucet. Make sure the faucet works. I also like to look underneath of the cabinet, make sure there's no leaks or any issues, that everything's hooked up correctly there. You will oftentimes find your garbage disposal switch down there as well. With sinks that are installed in islands, it's more typical to see that switch underneath of your cabinet. Moving along here into the dining area, you can see we're going to look for the same things on the walls and the floors. Pay particular attention to the outside corners of the walls, because that's oftentimes where it's most exposed, and you're going to see those little dings. And you can see over here we have a really nice thermostat. This is Wi-Fi enabled, so you can control it from your phone. And I believe these newer ones even switch from air conditioning to heating automatically depending on the temperature, so that's really nice as well. Moving into the first bathroom, you can see here's a nice half bathroom. Of course, I'm just going to check everything. I'm going to make sure that the doors shut smoothly on the shower doors. Oftentimes, if you're buying a new construction, You might notice the shower doors aren't installed until right up till closing, and I'm not sure whether that is so that it doesn't accidentally break while they're working on the property leading up to the closing, or if it's just something that they just wait till the last minute to install shower doors. But you'll oftentimes find shower doors aren't installed until the very end. Of course, you want to check the drain stop on the sink, make sure that that's hooked up. Those are notorious for not being hooked up correctly. And moving on in here to the bedroom, of course, we're going to do the same thing with the baseboards. You're going to look around, make sure that the caulking is all done correctly, make sure that the windows open and shut and the sliding closet doors open and shut correctly. Again, check again for screens, make sure the screens are installed in every single opening window. The other thing that I like to do is take a level, a small construction level, and set them on all of the sills of the window, like the little shelf part at the bottom, and make sure that it's installed level, because sometimes the builders, they'll put them in a little crooked and one side will be lower than the other, or it'll be bowed, or it'll be higher in the middle. So you want to slide that level back and forth across the windowsill and make sure it's installed correctly. Of course, you want to check the doors, make sure that they latch correctly as well. Moving on here, we're going to go into the garage. A lot of good stuff out here in the garage. Hopefully, they've left some touch-up paint, which is a common thing that builders should do. So the wall color as well as the trim color or any other colors that they use, typically you will find the cans of paint in the garage labeled. Or if they don't have cans of paint, sometimes they'll have touch-up kits that are in the drawer. I forgot to mention when we were in the kitchen, it's quite common to have one drawer where they put all of the instruction manuals for the appliances and any other systems in the house, as well as touch-up paint a lot of times for the stain on cabinets or the stain on wood flooring to have touch up those spots as well. So moving on over here to the water heater, you can see this is a nice water heater, very modern, efficient. It's got the digital display here. They should show you in the orientation how to turn off some of these water valves. You got the main water valve for water coming in from the street into the house. Then you also have an off valve for the hose bibs on the exterior of your house. So if you want to winterize those in the winter, and it also should be able to show you a cutoff for the hot water specifically. So if you want to turn that off, and they'll also show you how to drain and flush your tank once every year or so, or if you want to pay someone to come out and do that as part of an annual service. I also like to hit the garage door opener button, make sure that it opens and shuts correctly. And then moving on over here to the electric panel. We got a nice, clean, organized electric panel. Everything's labeled nice. Unfortunately, on some of these older homes, it's such a hodgepodge of stuff, you never know what goes to what, but this should be very clear about what each of your circuit breakers turn on and off. And you'll also notice in some of these modern, if you haven't been in a newer home recently, newer circuit breakers will have the GFCI button separate from the main toggle throw switch. And that is going to be an extra level of protection, just like you would see in the bathrooms or the kitchens on your outlets when you see that little button that you can reset the GFCI. So essentially they're putting those also now as another redundancy in the actual circuit panel itself. So it's a nice feature. So now let's head upstairs. Now, another thing I like to check, if you have stair rails, we want to look really closely at the vertical supports and make sure that they're installed tightly and secure and that they're all lined up correctly and oriented the right position, because those are notorious for being screwed up. And then also you want to look at the walls as you're walking up the stairs to make sure, of course, the texture looks nice and that it's painted evenly, because sometimes on these bigger spaces with high walls, the painters will put a coat of paint on and it needs a second coat oftentimes. So sometimes if the wall is painted a light color and you look and you see, you can actually see the raw drywall behind the first layer of paint, and they need to put some more paint on that as well. And then of course, again, like I've been mentioning, look at the exterior corners or the outside corners of the walls and the drywall. Make sure they're not dinged up from bringing stuff up and down the stairs. And you also want to give a good pull on the handrail. Make sure that it's installed nice and tight. Again, check all the light switches. I recommend just turning them all on when you come into the next level. Coming into another bedroom, do the same routine. Make sure screen's in the window. Make sure the window opens and shuts and latches, and the closet doors open nice and smooth and the doors latch. And moving on in here to the guest bathroom upstairs. Here you can see this particular bathroom does not have a shower door because it has a tub install. So they're typically going to put up, they're expecting you as a homeowner to put up your own curtain rod and curtain. And then again, check the sinks, both the drains as well as underneath. Make sure everything looks good under there. We got another bedroom in here. Same idea, windows, doors, baseboards. Look at the walls, look for dings, look for the texture. And here we have a nice big bonus room where they're going to be putting their big screen TV and home theater. You can see out the window there a beautiful view of Birch Bay to the southwest. Nice sunny day. Let's head out here onto the porch. Such a nice day. Very nice porch. It has one of those water impervious floors, so you want to walk around the edges, make sure everything is secured nice and tight so you don't get any water leaks underneath. Another thing I like to do, if you notice this trim all around the house, so you can put them around the doors and the windows, you want to look at the bottom edges where they cut them off on the edges to make sure that they painted those. The builders are notorious for oftentimes not painting the under edge lip of that trim, and so it can wick up water if it's not sealed with paint nice and secure. Also, if you have a railing, you just want to go around, make sure everything is secure on the railing, nice and tight, so that there's no safety issues. If there's any lights out here, make sure that the lights work. They have a great laundry room in here. It's got its own dedicated sink as well as cabinets. You want to look at the hookups for the washer and dryer, make sure everything looks good there, make sure there's no leaks. You also want to check underneath of the sink as usual, make sure there's no leaks and that the drain is hooked up correctly. Coming into our furnace room, dedicated furnace room. A lot of the newer homes now are putting furnaces inside of the house instead of in the garage. So you can see right behind me here, nice modern furnace. They should have the manuals and the materials for reading it. Also, you can have your builders during the orientation show you how to change the filter. And you can write down what filter size it is so that it's easy to swap out. They recommend changing filters about once every year or so to keep the return air nice and clean. Coming on in here to the primary bedroom. We got a nice big bedroom here with beautiful views, again, of the bay. A couple of things that I wanted to mention. If you've ever noticed any outlets in a bedroom or a living room that are upside down, it looks like the grounding plug is on the top. That is because it is attached to a wall switch. It means it's a switched outlet for lamps. Coming on into the primary bathroom. We got a lot of stuff going on here. You want to make sure, of course, the tub, make sure the drain works, make sure that the water turns on and off correctly. If there's jetted tubs, you want to run that, make sure that works okay. Also check all the light switches, make sure the fan works, make sure that the drains work in the sinks. I like to look around the tile, make sure all the grout and the tile is secured well. And if you have a separate shower door, you want to open and close the shower door. Make sure that it latches correctly, that it seals well. And if you're lucky enough to have a dedicated water closet for your toilet, give the toilet a flush, make sure everything works well. I like to grab the handrails. If there's handrails installed, make sure that they're secure, or towel racks. Make sure those are all installed correctly. And in the walk-in closet, it's got a nice big walk-in closet. Of course, not going to be a whole lot going on here, but I just like to make sure that the shelves are all installed nice and secure so that your clothes don't fall down when you start hanging them up. I also like to check out the corners of all of the trim around the doors and make sure that there's no gaps and that it's all smooth and that the cut in on the painting looks all nice and even and accurate as well. This particular house does not have any ceiling fans installed, and it does not have any spots where you would put ceiling fans in, but if there is, for instance, on a new construction, say there's a ceiling fan in the living room area, oftentimes they will not install ceiling fans in the bedrooms or other bonus room areas, but they'll have a blank that you can take off of the ceiling with the electrical behind where you could install one. If you want, you can ask the builder for the model number of the type of fan that's installed in the living room if you want to look for one that matches it so that it's the same. Otherwise, they don't put one in. That way they let you use your own personal taste for installing the type of ceiling fan that you might like. And if you've ever seen one of these in a laundry room and ever wondered what it is, This is an exhaust fan that is set up on a timer. You can just turn it on or off to run all the time. But if you put it on the auto setting, the timer setting, you can set it up. By code, a laundry room is supposed to have an exhaust fan that runs probably about 15 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day to bleed out any excess moisture. Also, what it does is it helps with circulation through the house. So it's going to help pull air and keep fresh air in the house as well. And then right here, if there is easy access to the attic, it's a good idea to go up, poke your head up there, see if there's anything going on up there. Usually in our area, you'll just find a bunch of insulation. You won't even want to go up there. There's no real easy way once they blow in the insulation. But some houses or older homes will have the pull-down staircase. Sometimes that's in the garage, where they might even have some storage up there or some plywood and lights. So you can check that out. But if there's no pull-down staircase, I would not encourage you to go up there on your own. Make sure your home inspector does that, and they'll check out and make sure everything looks okay. And you can see here is the attic access. If there's a pull-down staircase, you might want to go check it out up there. If not, make sure you hire a home inspector that goes through and make sure everything's okay in the attic. So let's head on outside and check out the exterior. So most of these newer homes, the siding that we use in the Northwest is something called Hardy Plank, which I think is becoming more popular nationwide. It's very durable. It doesn't rot. You might notice that there's little gaps between the end pieces, and that's normal because even though it is a concrete product, it's still going to expand and contract like any other wood structure. I like to just do a quick walk around the property, make sure that there isn't any debris like around the air conditioning unit, because of course it's going to be a lot of air circulating around there. You want to make sure that there's no debris or leaves inside of the air conditioner. And the hose bibs, of course, depending on the time of the year, in the wintertime, you want to make sure you cover up your hose bibs with the insulated covers. And then moving along here, you can see the electrical panel, the electrical meter and the gas meters. Are not much going on there, not much to do. And you might also notice there could be some wires coming out of the side of the house that have loose ends. Those are oftentimes for cable or other types of internet hookup. Of course, you want to make sure that those are wired into the network box if you have a network box on the outside of your house for the cable company and the internet company to install. I like to take a quick look and see if there's a keypad for the garage. If there is, of course, you want to change the code right away, because oftentimes the contractors and the builders have access to the garage code, so you want to get that changed right away. And again, looking around at all the trim, make sure that the under edges of those trim are painted like I mentioned before, so that water doesn't absorb into those. Also, you might notice that we have these little soffit vents, crawl space vents, that make sure that all the screens are installed so mice do not get inside. There also should be an outdoor. A lot of people will plug those square crawl space vents with styrofoam, which is not recommended, whether it's the wintertime or not, because you want to make sure that there's good airflow to make sure that moisture doesn't accumulate in your crawl space. You also want to check the gutters and make sure that the gutters are all installed correctly and properly set into the ground if they're taking the water away from the side of the house, because you don't want dirt to erode away. Oftentimes these newer homes, they're going to go right into the ground and then they disperse out into the grass so that it doesn't pool up around the side of your house. I'd also recommend doing a quick walk throughout the entire yard, especially if you have a sprinkler system, because you want to make sure that there's no low spots with, big muddy puddles in them at the time of the year when there shouldn't be puddles there. That's another thing to look for. Also, you want to look up and find the dryer vents on the outside of the house and make sure that the little flap opens and shuts, because if it stays open, you can get rodents that would get inside of there, like birds or bees. You can see an example up there where one of the vents is open, so you might want to make sure right there, that it gets taken care of by the builder. You can see these other vents here. These are shut okay right here. Then lastly, we come around here, you can see the heater drain for any water and condensation right up there. So again, you just want to make sure that's free of any debris or nests or beehives and stuff like that. Also, you'll notice around the edge here, those little holes, those are soffit vents. You want to look at every single one of those that you could possibly see, even up on the upper part of the roof. It might be hard to see. You want to make sure that there's a screen installed in all of those so birds and bees and rodents don't get inside of your attic. And coming around here to the other side, of course, we got more hose bibs. We also have the fireplace exhaust. Unfortunately, you don't have a nice, beautiful wood chimney, so Santa is gonna have to find a different way to get into the house at Christmas. Sorry, Santa. And again, if you have sprinkler systems, you want to see there should be a box somewhere on the ground that has access to getting into that sprinkler system, whether or not you control them there, or you might have your controls in the garage. So just to recap, you want to make sure that you do this blue tape walkthrough about 1 to 2 weeks before closing. You can do it by yourself or with a friend or a family member or with your realtor as well. Typically the builder does not come during that blue tape walkthrough. They're going to come through and fix everything, and then about 1 to 2 days before closing, you should come in, do a final walkthrough with your realtor. That's where you can look around, make sure all of the blue tape marks have been taken care of and it's fixed up to your liking. They will also probably do that builder orientation where they're going to show you how to run everything. They're going to show you how the furnace works, any security systems, pretty much anything that you need to take care of the house, they're going to show you how to do. So be sure to take care of that. Also, I would encourage you, if you are looking at buying a new construction home, be sure to contact your realtor, your own buyer's agent. Don't go directly to the builder, because the builder, of course, is being represented by an agent and looking out for their best interests. So most builders like it when buyers come with their own agent, because it gives them the proper representation, makes things go smoother during the closing process. So be sure to contact your realtor. And I would encourage you, even if you're thinking of going and looking at model or open homes for the first time in a development, make sure you have your realtor with you, because sometimes builders will have a stipulation that if you don't have your realtor the first time you go, then your realtor doesn't get paid. So it's an important thing to take care of. How about you? Have you ever bought a new construction home? If so, leave some comments below on the good, the bad, and the ugly of that process. Other people would love to hear about it. And also, since 2004, we've been helping buyers make the smooth move to the Bellingham, Washington area, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're thinking of moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'd be happy to help you make that smooth move to the Bellingham, Washington area. And until next time, I hope to see you around town. And if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe below and tap the bell icon for notifications so you can be the first to know when new videos come out.